Hi and a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the regulatory bodies section of Adda247. So today I have come up with a short video on G7 summit. You all know, you all are already aware कि 48 सेशन चल रहा है G7 summit का, जिसमें इंडिया को along with several other countries like Senegal, Argentina and South Africa. India is also an invitee partner country with the current G7 summit. Okay, so let's use this opportunity. Let's see कि G7 summit में क्या discuss हो रहा है. But before that, we will also know कि G7 actually है क्या. What is the background of the global grouping? What are the objectives of the global grouping? Okay, so let's have a quick look. Let's see what are the key takeaways from the recent G7 summit. And also it is very very significant कि इस date इस time पे conduct हो रहा है. Why? Because अभी recently 2022 का BRICS summit conclude हुआ है, जिसको obviously India ने India attended the 2022 BRICS summit. Okay, and now it is also attending the G7 summit at the same time. So Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa and G7 summit countries के बीच में जो bridge बनाने का काम कर रहा है, India plays a very very crucial role. And of course, for the past few years, 2018, 19, 20, 21, India has been consistently participating in the G7 summit. India has been a partner country to the summit consistently over the past few years. That reflects the importance of India to the global economy, to the global political and economic scenario. Okay, even in the today's time, चाहे वो climate change हो गया, चाहे वो terrorism हो गया, or even if it is global food security, any issue, India comes central. Again, in the time of crisis, India has emerged to become the center stage, to become the center stage of the global scenario. Okay? All the countries are looking up to India in terms of peace, in terms of global food security, in terms of a stabilizing factor to all the geopolitical tensions that are apparently on the rise. So let's first have a look. G7 countries के members कौन-कौन है? At present, we also discussed it in our daily current affairs session in the morning at 7 a.m. also. G7 की countries है Germany, UK, France, Canada, US, Italy and Japan. G7 countries are these. G8 पहले Russia joined G8 late. 2014 तक it was a member of the grouping, and that is why it was known as G8. However, 2014 में Crimea annexation के बाद Russia was ousted from the G8 summit. Okay, 2020 में Donald Trump invited Russia as a partner country to the G7 summit, but however, with the repeat of the Ukrainian crisis, again the summit is it is basically currently it is looking in ways and means on how to punish Russia for its stance with Ukraine, and it also wants to counter Chinese developments like Belt and Road Initiative. So let's have a look one by one. Okay, अगर आपको इसका PDF चाहिए, अगर आपको इसका PDF चाहिए, so do join our Telegram channel. The PDF will be made available to you all. Alright, so let's have a look at the key takeaways of the group of 7 summit countries. Intergovernmental organization है. What is G7? What is group of 7? है क्या ये? तो ये एक intergovernmental organization है. It was formed in the year 1975. 1973, 1970s were the time जब not Gulf oil crisis, but the world was reeling under Cold War situation. Okay, and at that time also the oil crisis did faced a spike, but main agenda was Cold War and the global economic scenario. So to discuss all that, to contemplate, to frame policy measures, to bring in tools and frameworks that balance the situation and avoid any other third world war. G7 summit एक इंटर गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की तरह फॉर्म हुआ और उसको ज्वाइन किया यूके, फ्रांस, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan and USA to discuss issues of common interest like global economic governance, international security, energy policy. Okay, so these were all the key sources or the reasons why G7 was formed in the first place. Okay, all G7 countries are the part of group of 20 countries. Group of 20 countries हम लोगों ने देखा है कौन-कौन सी countries are a part of G20. Okay, this plus G7 together form group of 20. Key difference क्या है G7 and group of 20 में? G7 is mainly concerned with economic as well as political issues. Group of 20 का main focus रहता है largely related to economic issues. Okay. So ये 48th summit है. It aims to deliberate on international economic issues. Participants exchange ideas on economic problems, collapse of the system. ब्रेटन वुड्स कोलैप्स हो गया था उस टाइम पे एंड देन वर्ल्ड बैंक group came into being. You all, we will discuss about it sometime later, but let's focus on this. Germany chairs the 48th G7 summit. 48th G7 summit is currently chaired by Germany. Okay, so that is one thing. India, Senegal, Argentina, Indonesia and South Africa have been invited to the summit as partner countries. Okay, so लोकेशन क्या है? बहुत ही खूबसूरत और सुंदर सी लोकेशन है बवेरियन एल्प्स में. These are a century old reserved forest and mountainous regions of Bavarian Alps where the summit is taking place. Germany is the president. Yes, 2023 में G7 का जो president और जो G20 की presiding body will be India. Okay, and 2023 G20 summit will take place in India. So that is a fact that you should know general awareness के point of view से. Interesting fact ये है कि president of Ukraine will also virtually attend the summit. Okay. Other than the key participating countries, नाम याद रख लीजिए, बहुत important है कौन कौन सी countries are partner countries for 2022 G7 summit. It is India, Senegal, Argentina, Indonesia and South Africa. They have been invited to participate in the discussions and contemplations of the G7 summit. Okay. So interesting fact is Ukraine will also participate in the summit virtually. Key participating institutions कौन है summit के? World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, IMF and the World Bank. Okay, these are the key participating institutions, international institutions. ये invite किए गए, countries ये सारी invited है. So these are some facts, some key takeaways from the 48th summit. Focus area क्या है? Infrastructure, food security, multilateralism and of course climate change. The world today is obsessed with climate change. Everyone is talking about climate change. So obviously, अगर कोई ऐसा important summit होता है बड़े scale में तो climate change by default, de facto उसका key focus area होगा. ये आप हमेशा याद रखिए. Okay. Yeah. So significance क्या है for India? India is a natural ally of G7. It is a natural ally of G7 that defends shared values like terrorism, authoritarianism and violence. And of course G7 summit is also talking about free press and dissent that are the roots for democratic countries like India, and India shares the value. So this is one thing. Number two, India is the only G20 country on track to meet its Paris commitments. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? आज की डेट में before the target time, India has been able to meet 40% of its renewable energy target as a G20 country with access to climate finance to implement mitigation, adaptation technology transfer, climate justice to make the platform even more significant to India. So of course climate change is one of the key focus area of G7 summit. Why? डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ के लिए क्लाइमेट फाइनेंसिंग बहुत बहुत क्रूशल और इम्पॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. एंड बिकॉज मिटिगेशन पॉलिसी है, Paris Agreement according, all the developed countries are committed to provide $100 billion of climate finance, climate fund, that is Global Environment Fund, कि various implementing agencies that work towards mitigation technologies and technology transfer to help developing countries transition to more climate friendly development. So that is why climate finance was talked about in G7, with adaptation, technology transfers, climate justice, to make the platform even more significant for India. Okay, the impact of social inclusion, empowerment in India through applications like JAM Trinity were discussed in the summit. Okay, तो ये आप फोटो देख लो, बहुत अच्छी है. Become an RBI grade B officer or whatever. If you aspire to be a politician as well, so please look out for this, because you will get to visit such beautiful places. Bavarian Alps में इसको conduct करवाया जा रहा है. This is how the location looks like. Okay, Indian Prime Minister, he attended the event. Now, investing in a better future, climate, energy and health. Okay. ये I don't know. But ये एक event हुआ था investing in better future, climate, energy and health. That was also obviously attended by India. And Indian Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of India, said that India is one of the most important countries, important places for clean energy investments. ठीक है, तो renewable energy sector बहुत ज़्यादा prosperous sector है, बहुत the growth of potential in RE sector in India is immense, and the Prime Minister vouched for the G7 countries to invest in RE sector, that is renewable energy sector, and clean energy technologies in India. Okay, so the core theories of circular economy is an integral part of culture and lifestyle in India. Circular economy क्या होता है? Circular economy, you all must have heard about the waste to wealth campaign. Waste to wealth campaign के बारे में आप सबने सुना होगा. So circular economy means minimizing, dependency on resources, new supply of resources, and trying to make manufacturing process more cleaner by using recycled products as raw materials in the process. Okay, सबसे ज़्यादा circular economy e-waste sector में सबसे ज़्यादा इसका potential है. But overall also circular economy, the culture of recycling, it is very, very traditional and very, very common to India. Okay, so this is one reason. India is the G20 country on track to meet its Paris commitment. It has achieved the target of 40% energy capacity. India has achieved the target capacity of 40% from non-fossil sources in 9 years before time. तो टारगेट क्या था? टारगेट था 2030 तक, एटलीस्ट 2030 तक, इंडिया शुड जनरेट 40% of its renewable energy from 40% of its energy from renewable sources. Okay, and India has already achieved its target. So through these statistics, through these facts, the Prime Minister of India is trying to say that okay, it is time for our country to meet the Paris. It is a bright spot for the G7 countries to start investing in RE sources. ठीक है. Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. इसी से रिलेटेड एक MCQ डेली करंट अफेयर सुबह 7 बजे जो मैं रोज़ कंडक्ट करती हूँ लाइव, यू ऑल कैन वॉच इट. इसी से रिलेटेड एक MCQ हम लोगों ने सुबह भी पढ़ा था और ये अब भी पढ़ रहे हैं. वाई नाउ, इससे आपको ये समझ में आ जाना चाहिए कि एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से कितना ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. इट इज़ एक्चुअली वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो सबसे पहले इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव जान लीजिए. पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट यूजुअली स्टार्ट किया था सबसे पहले US G7 कंट्रीज़ ने ही स्टार्ट किया था विद की कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस फ्रॉम द US एंड द EU. For some reason it could not be continued with. Now 48th summit में ये relaunch हुआ है. It has been relaunched to counter the Belt and Road Initiative by China. Underlying objective इसका ये है, but on the paper इसका objective है to develop infrastructure in developing country, to invest in infrastructure in developing countries. Okay, developing countries like India, like Sri Lanka. Okay. चाहे वो डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी हो या फिर कुछ भी हो. तो G7 summit recently it is being held in Germany. partnership for global infrastructure that aims to raise $600 million through public-private funding. Public-private funding के through $600 million to finance infrastructure development in developing countries and counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. The United States would mobilize US $200 billion in grant. European Union will mobilize $300 billion euro, and of course private funding के sources को भी use किया जाएगा. Okay, so countries we've already discussed about it. Anyway, third very important key point in the G7 summit that has been discussed so far is ensuring global food security. Global food security, आज की डेट में the world, all the countries in the world are looking up to India as a source of ensuring global food security. So global food security क्यों? Because the farmers in our country possess a lot of traditional prowess, traditional skills, agricultural skills, and our traditional knowledge in the field of agriculture holds a lot of hope for the future in a world that is unprecedented, in a world that is open to unprecedented scenarios like another crisis or potential World War III like crisis, and facing the double whammy of climate change and pandemic. तो ऐसे सारे issues जब आ जाते हैं तो a country, a stable, secure country with an even pace of economic development, with a strong root in agriculture, agrarian economy, serves as a hope to the world. And that is why आज की date में सारी countries look up to India to ensure global food security. Okay, so traditional talent of the Indian farmers को display किया गया, traditional knowledge, for example cultivation of millets have been very very traditional to our country. बहुत सारे farmers हमेशा से traditional millets को cultivate करते थे, and all of a sudden it stopped. Green revolution आया, we started mindless cultivation of crops like wheat and rice. Monocropping होने लगी जिसकी वजह से soil fertility decrease हो गई, जिसकी वजह से agriculture में जो diversity थी वो धीरे धीरे ख़त्म हो गई. But at the same time आज की डेट में वही wheat, 35,000 tons of wheat on a humanitarian basis India has given to countries like Afghanistan. India has helped countries like Sri Lanka in times of economic crisis. So India has become a food surplus, a net agricultural exporter, and India is now taking the path towards climate resilient agriculture. 2023 will be celebrated as International Year of Millets by the United Nations. Okay, International Year of Millets. Millets serve as a lot of hope for climate resilience agriculture. उनको dry and arid conditions में कम resources के साथ cultivate किया जा सकता है, and they offer a lot of nutritional value. So ना ही nutritional insecurity and food security से deal करने के लिए millets are important, but also ensuring food security for the world in the face of uncertainties that are posed by climate change. Millets are very very crucial, and इसी को importance देते हुए United Nations will celebrate the year 2023 as International Year of Millets, food and nutritional security को ध्यान में रखते हुए. Okay, so this is very very important. So these were some of the very important key takeaways from the G7 summit. एक क्वेश्चन था, काफ़ी सारे पॉइंट्स ऑफ कंटेंशंस है जिस पे हम लोग डिबेट कर सकते हैं, जिस पे हम लोग सोच सकते हैं. ओके, डोंट थिंक वेदर इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम द एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू और नॉट. यू ऑल आर aspiring RBI grade B officers, you all are aspiring officers of NABARD. कल को आप जाके पॉलिसी मेकर बनोगे, कल को आप जाके एडवाइज़र टू द इकोनॉमिक एडवाइज़र टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया बनोगे. सो यू शुड बी हैविंग दीज थॉट्स, यू शुड बी कॉन्टम्पलेटिंग अबाउट दीज थिंग्स. नंबर 1, पहला पॉइंट ऑफ कंटेंशन ये रहा दैट इंडिया इज़ रेडी टू एंश्योर फूड सिक्योरिटी टू द वर्ल्ड provided that the global groupings like G7 ensure continuous and smooth supply of fertilizer to our country. स्मूथ सप्लाई ऑफ फर्टिलाइज़र की बात क्यों करी है इंडिया ने? फर्टिलाइज़र ensuring regular supplies of fertilizers. Why has the Prime Minister of India even talked about this on the G7 summit? Why? Because World Trade Organization का एक peace clause होता है according to which the government of India should stop giving fertilizer subsidies to the farmers. Why? Because वो direct subsidies के अंडर आते हैं and according to the aggregate measure support 10% से ज़्यादा उसका value exceed नहीं होता. बट डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज़ लाइक इंडिया के लिए जहाँ पे फूड एंड न्यूट्रिशनल सिक्योरिटी बहुत बड़ा इशू है, द WHO केम अप विद अ पीस क्लॉज जिसमें 2017 तक एक डेडलाइन दी गई थी फॉर कंट्रीज टू फाइंड अ सल्यूशन दैट विल एक्ट एज अ सब्स्टिट्यूट टू फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी, so that they can let go of the actual fertilizer subsidy and work as per the norms of WTO, अगर उसको कम करके 10% की रेंज में लाना. But that is not very fair, or इतने drastic and sudden changes will not be very fair to the small and medium farmers who depend on subsidies by the government of India. Okay, so at the same time एक point पे वही कंट्रीज़ जो G7 में है, वही कंट्रीज़ WTO जैसे प्लेटफॉर्म में पीस क्लॉज जैसे इश्यूज़ के साथ, अग्रीमेंट ऑन एग्रीकल्चर जैसे इश्यूज़ के साथ इंडिया के साथ कोऑपरेट करने को रेडी नहीं है. But at the same time, same countries in summits like G7, they want India to serve as a source of food security to the world. Is that fair? Is that fair? So there should be some parallelism in the global politics, right? There should be some parallelism in the global world order. So उस context में this statement was very, very strategically important, that if the world wants to ensure food security, it has to ensure smooth supply of fertilizer to our country. ओके, सो कोऑपरेशन होता है तो दोनों तरफ से होता है. एक तरफा ट्रांजैक्शन हम लोग ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कॉज पे कब तक और कितना करेंगे, दैट इज़ द पॉइंट. सो दिस वाज इट अबाउट G7 समिट. और भी इम्पॉर्टेंट न्यूज़ एंड अपडेट्स आएंगे तो आई विल ऑब्वियसली शेयर विद यू इन आवर डेली करंट अफेयर सेशन जो कि सुबह 7 बजे होता है. Guys, soon I will come up with sessions related to Press India Bureau and RBI circulars 9 to 10 AM के time gap में. Okay, so it is taking a little time, but please stay tuned. 6 से 7 वाला generic तो आपका fix है. We will come up with more such important and interesting discussions on issues of national and important international events so that you can build on some perspective. Okay, and also it will help you in descriptive answer writing as well as essay writing. So do stay tuned, keep watching Adda247 regulatory bodies channel, like, share and subscribe. Take care, thank you and bye bye.